So Blake Lively files to dismiss $400 million lawsuit, calling it an abuse of the legal system.
These cars aren't moving.
Ready?
Thanks, Captain.
How you doing, Blake?
In a surprising turn during a high-profile legal proceeding, Blake Lively was visibly upset after a seasoned lawyer incisive remarks in court witnesses decribbed the moment as a dramatic departure from her usual poise. Demeanor. The courtroom atmosphere shifted palpably when the lawyer's pointed commentary not only challenged her credibility but also appeared to touch on sensitive issues. Observers noted that Lively, who typically maintains a measured public image, seemed unable to contain her frustration as the verbal exchange escalated.
Ryan Reynolds also filed to dismiss the lawsuit, but what does it mean? So this is specifically referring to Justin Baldoni's lawsuit against them. They want the judge to dismiss Baldoni's lawsuit against them, like saying, hey judge, we don't deserve to be sued. Can you please just get him away from us? Her publicist Leslie Sloan and the New York Times have also filed motions to dismiss, but why is this so important right now? Because the judge just settled the protective order dispute, which means the next phase is to move into discovery, which means digging up the text messages, digging up the emails, deposing people, Taylor Swift. And along with a motion to dismiss, we have Leslie Sloan and the New York Times, and presumably next will be Blake and Ryan, are filing a motion to stay discovery, meaning they don't want to move into discovery just yet until the judge decides on all of their motions to dismiss.
Rumors about the underlying tensions had circulated prior to the session, but few anticipated such a public display. The incident has since sparked debates among legal experts and fans alike, questioning whether the outburst was a calculated reaction or a genuine loss of composure. With every detail scrutinized, the event has now become a reference point in discussions about the intersection of celebrity and the rigors of courtroom decorum.
Reynolds doesn't think it's fun anymore and he wants out. Hi, my name is Nigel Burns. I'm a trial lawyer in Southern California. That's right. Ryan Reynolds has asked a judge to dismiss him from the Justin Baldoni, Blake Lively lawsuit, saying that there are no legal grounds for any claim against him, and basically the claim against him by Baldoni amounts to hurt feelings. Now, many people would say all of this lawsuit or lawsuits is about hurt feelings and not much more, but that's why Ryan is wanting to get out of the party now and saying no more fun and games for him with this.
The proceedings began as any standard case would, with both sides presenting their arguments meticulously. Blake Lively, representing her interests in a matter that had drawn considerable public attention, appeared initially focused and unruffled. However, as the session unfolded, the opposing lawyer's strategy took a sharp turn. His opening statements were measured, yet his tone hinted at deeper criticisms that resonated with the courtroom's charged atmosphere.
Would that be enough to overcome the fair reporting privilege? It might be.
Yeah, and I think when we had talked with Zach Peter several weeks back, the question had come up, and I think Zach was, in tune to this. He says, why was the CRD complaint even filed? And then they go to New York, the Southern District of New York, and file a lawsuit up there. Your comment at the time was what?
It seems like they filed in California because we have a very liberal statute that gives you the litigation privilege. So now Lively's covered under the litigation privilege. And then you go to New York because you can report it under the fair reporting.
According to multiple accounts, his inquiry was direct and unyielding, deliberately spotlighting inconsistencies in Lively's testimony and questioning the veracity of her statements. As he proceeded, his words grew increasingly pointed, suggesting not only professional shortcomings, but also insinuating personal lapses that had no place in the legal record.
They're not. Their egos are too big.
They're not smart, Stu. If they were smart, they would have settled. They're not smart.
And it's $400 million. And Ryan Reynolds has that money from the sale of
Mid-Mo. It's funny because Justin Baldoni sued him for just over what they're worth.
Really? Oh, what? That attorney scares the shit out of me, Brian.
Yeah.
He's after me. Oh my God.
And they're like, usually a judge, especially, and attorneys would be like, do not play this out in the press. And Baldoni's attorney is like, we're playing this out in the press. You're gonna insinuate about us? We're just gonna show the text.
Yeah. No, he's dead right, because you know what? The court of public opinion is really what matters in Hollywood. It just does. Totally. It doesn't matter about money, like giving them 50 million, 60 million. It's just reputation. And he was so smart in doing that website, showing all the text. And I'm sorry, like when people say you've done something wrong or like whatever, I've been there. It's like, great, show me the text.
Yeah.
Show me what I did. Show me the screenshots. There's none because it never happened. Exactly. She can't show. He can.
Observers noted that Lively's reactions were initially subtle, a slight clench of the jaw, a brief pause before responding, but these small signs soon evolved into a display of mounting irrit Her hands, usually composed on the table, began to gesture emphatically, as if to underline the strength of her rebuttal. It was at this juncture that the lawyer, seemingly aware of every nuance, delivered a particularly scathing remark that not only critiqued her legal strategy but also alluded to past controversies. Eyewitnesses described the moment as a tipping point where the cumulative pressure of the lawyer's remarks visibly unsettled her.
Schachter. She is a very experienced intimacy coordinator who did not work on It Ends With Us, but she brings a lot of first-hand knowledge and wisdom. And she said something that really got me thinking and resonated. After reading text messages between them that they each included in their respective lawsuits, this intimacy coordinator says, quote, "From reading their text messages, I do sense that at one point there was genuine affection between them and what felt like a friendship. In my experience, when an actor says, I don't need to meet the intimacy coordinator until we're shooting, as much as it hinders my process, it does typically indicate that they trust their scene partner. And those texts made me think that at one point she did feel a lot of trust with him. And you know what? I actually agree with her."
In the ensuing minutes, the courtroom became a stage for a dramatic interplay of emotions and legal rhetoric. While the lawyer maintained a clinical, almost dispassionate delivery, his words carried a weight that resonated deeply with everyone present. Lively's defense, meticulously prepared and laden with documented evidence, began to unravel under the sustained pressure of these personal jabs. Court reporters highlighted that the lawyer's approach was not merely to win the case, but to discredit the celebrities' narrative altogether. As the dialogue intensified, Lively's carefully maintained composure started to crack. Her responses, once measured and succinct, turned into heated rebuttal that echoed around the silent room.
Delay tactic. It seems like they don't want to move into discovery, probably because discovery is going to get very messy. Again, the text messages, the emails, we're going to get into all the records, we're going to get into the depositions. Taylor Swift, Hugh Jackman, Bradley Cooper. You know for a fact Brian Friedman is coming for all of them in the depositions. Now, why might Khaleesi and her dragons want to delay the discovery process? One theory is that we have another simple favor. The official premiere is coming out soon, so we may not want to taint that any further, right? Oh, but there's a bigger reason we may want to delay this process. This very, very messy process. Bigger than another simple favor, Ryan Reynolds' company is about to go public. Sounds like a very lucrative deal. Now, we wouldn't want to hurt any chances of a really big sale by having messy details about this messy lawsuit coming.
Those familiar with Lively's public persona remarked that this was a departure from her typical responses at media events and interviews. Instead of the polished, rehearsed answers she was known for, she appeared raw and unguarded, letting her frustration seep through. Some legal analysts suggested that the lawyer's strategy was to provoke a reaction that could later be portrayed as evidence of emotional instability, thereby weakening her position. Meanwhile, members of the public watching from various media outlets were quick to share their interpretations of the incident on social media platforms, fueling a narrative that mixed legal critique with personal vendetta.
Waiting for Blake Lively to drop this freaking amendment. Okay, am I the only person with their hands raised? Are you guys just here to plagiarize because you know I went through every line like a complete psycho? That's perfectly fine. I just want you guys to know rather, that if you're here because you think there's some bombshell in here, as her lawyers were alluding to, oh, wait until everybody sees everything, you're going to be sorely disappointed, because if clickbait was an amendment, this is it. Okay, I cannot believe it. And there's so much more going on here. Now we really see the target of everything, I think, really the linchpin for her lawsuit, the person that she went after. We have to discuss Isabella Ferrer.
Waiting for Blake Lively to drop this freaking amendment. Okay, am I the only person with their hands raised? Are you guys just here to plagiarize? Because you know I went through every line like a complete psycho. That's perfectly fine. I just want to want you guys to know, rather, that if you're here because you think there's some bombshell in here, as her lawyers were alluding to, oh wait until everybody sees everything, you're going to be sorely disappointed, because if clickbait was an Amendment, this is it, okay, I cannot believe it, and there's so much more going on here now. We really see the target of everything. I think really the linchpin for her lawsuit, the person that she went after. We have to discuss Isabella Ferrer, all that coming up right now. As the session continued, the intensity of the exchange escalated. Further, the lawyer's line of questioning increasingly focused on aspects of Lively's career, decisions, and public statements that had previously been considered off limits in a courtroom. Setting his rhetoric implied that her celebrity status might have clouded her judgment, a claim that struck a nerve with both her legal team and supporters. At one point, the conversation veered into territory that many considered to be beyond the scope of the case. The lawyer's relentless pursuit of every perceived inconsistency was seen by some as a deliberate attempt to undermine her credibility in a manner that went beyond standard legal practice.
Called this shot, that it was very obvious now that we know his brand of narcissism. I feel like we all deserve like PhDs in psychology by the end of this. And since we were able to connect the way his teacher said that he believes he can act his way out of anything and make people fall in love with him, I said yesterday on the show, 100% Ryan was the one who put this line in here. Not SNL, not Tina Fey, not Blake Lively, but Ryan. And sure enough, some amazing mommy sleuth sends me a link yesterday, which you guys don't forget. She says, check out this broadcast on an Australian radio show called Fifi, Fev, and Nick for Breakfast. Literally a Melbourne, Australia station, where they had a guy who's been with SNL for like 25 years. His name is Cue Card Wally. He literally holds the cue cards for SNL. And he was just opening up with them in a friendly conversation about how exciting hosting that 50th anniversary was. And at the very end of the conversation, Cue Card Wally gets asked about that line. Ryan Reynolds jumping up and making a joke about the Justin Baldoni situation. And take a listen to what Cue Card Wally had to say.
Now, Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively have been in the news a lot, and Ryan Reynolds, we want to know, was that an improv or was it scripted, his little piece he did?
That was actually, he had a different line in rehearsal, and he pitched that to replace it. So that was his idea to do it.
It was Ryan's idea.
In response, Lively's retorts grew sharper. She argued that the questioning was not only irrelevant, but also an attack on her character, diverting attention from the substantive legal issues at hand. Her responses were interlaced with legal citations and references to documented evidence, aiming to reassert her authority over the narrative. Yet, as the minutes ticked by, her tone revealed increasing irritation, a stark contrast to her previously calm and collected demeanor. Her body language, once controlled, began to betray the strain of the moment. Witnesses noted that her eyes flashed with intensity and her gestures became more forceful, underscoring the emotional toll of the relentless grilling.
These insanely wealthy human that are just having a pillow fight, and we already have a backlog in the court system. And now they have clogged up 3 different areas of law and people that actually have to go to work for a living. And there's other cases that are behind them that are legitimate. And this is just silliness. This is high-powered, high-priced lawyer doing legal gymnastics. At the end of it, there's going to be nothing. Nothing's going to happen. There's not even, it's going to be dismissed everywhere. Yep. And that's it. And I enjoy talking about it because I like the legal gymnastics that the lawyers have done, but it's all nonsense. All of it. And you can get mad at me for saying that because this guy said this or this girl said this. When it all comes to a head at the end, everybody knew what they were doing, and everybody is trying to make themselves look good, and they want to make more money because they're, entitled Hollywood people. Well, that's my...
Courtroom mates later described the episode as uncharacteristic of the celebrity, whose public appearances were typically marked by grace under pressure. The lawyer's strategy had evidently succeeded in drawing out a reaction that many viewed as a significant departure from the expected courtroom decorum. Legal experts discussing the incident post-session remarked that such displays, though rare, can have far-reaching implications in high-stakes litigation involving public figures. They emphasized that the dynamics of celebrity trials often involve an interplay between public perception and legal strategy, with every gesture and word subject to intense scrutiny.
Rogan is blasting Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds, and I just kind of found this to be quite funny. I found it funny. He said that they effed up when he was on his podcast because it came up about the whole It Ends With Us drama and the legal saga. And I feel like more and more people are starting to, come to the point where they're realizing Blake Lively very clearly is not telling the truth. I think when I was talking it through yesterday with Daniel Feruzin, became abundantly clear, because I was like, what case, what smoking gun could she possibly have? She's trying to argue 47.1, and like, sure, that's a strong argument, but again, it goes down to, you know, a matter of fact that will have to be determined by the jury, not a judge. Very same sentiment that was echoed by Harvey Levin when he was on TMZ, and he's like, these are matters of, you know, these are questions of fact, and questions of fact are for the jury, not for the coconut tree. Now for the judge.